Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life.
All right, so you know how much I love diving into these dense symbolic texts, right?
Oh, yeah, we've definitely gone down some rabbit holes together.
Exactly. And this one, The Secret Doctrine by Helena Blavatsky, let me tell you,
It's a big one.
it is a big one. And it's packed with so much symbolism and ancient wisdom. And for this deep dive, we're going to focus on the moon.
Okay, the moon.
Not just, as the celestial body, but as this powerful symbol. It plays a role in so many different cultures and spiritual traditions, especially when we start talking about lunar worship.
It's amazing how Blavatsky takes something like the moon, something we see every night and kind of think we know,
Yeah,
and then she reveals all these layers of meaning. She connects the moon to ancient myths and esoteric knowledge, and she even brings it back around to our own subconscious.
yeah, it's really fascinating. Like one of the things that really struck me was how many different deities are associated with the moon, like across all these different cultures.
Absolutely. I mean, the moon has captivated people for millennia, right? The cycles, the phases. It just makes sense that it would show up in myths and rituals all over the world.
Totally. And like, we were talking about Diana earlier, the Roman goddess of the hunt,
Right, right.
and how she's, often depicted with a bow and arrow, which kind of visually like, connects with that crescent moon shape.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's almost like the bow itself is mimicking that lunar crescent.
Right. And that whole connection to the hunt, it makes me think about cycles, right? Like you said, there's a pursuit, there's a capture, and then a return. Kind of like the waxing and waning of the moon.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why so many ancient cultures connected the moon with things like time and fate, like, these larger forces at play?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very compelling connection. And it's not just Diana, right? We've got Sin, the Babylonian moon god, Thoughtlunas, the Egyptian god of wisdom and magic, Minerva, Soma.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So it was a pretty big deal, like all over the place.
It really was. And I think it's the moon's phases, right? They're so predictable, but there's still a mystery to them. And that probably created a sense of awe, maybe even a little fear. And that led people to seek guidance from these lunar deities.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like trying to make sense of those larger cycles of life and death and the universe.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of complexity, right? You mentioned Thoughtlunas, the Egyptian god of wisdom and magic.
Oh, yeah.
What's the significance there? Like connecting the moon to wisdom and magic. That feels really potent.
It is. Thoughtlunas is such a great example of how lunar symbolism can intersect with concepts like knowledge and especially the unseen world, right? Like, think about it. The moon illuminates the darkness.
Yeah, literally.
Literally, it reveals what was hidden. So it's not a stretch at all to see how that could be linked to this pursuit of hidden knowledge, of unlocking the mysteries of the universe.
It's almost like the moon represents that search for truth,
Yeah.
for those deeper levels of understanding.
That's a great way to put it. It's like that illumination, that unveiling of what's been hidden in the darkness.
Right. But I'm also curious about some of the darker associations Blavatsky brings up, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be Blavatsky without a little darkness.
Right. Because she doesn't shy away from the moon's connection to like illusion, negativity, even the devil. How do those ideas fit into this whole idea of lunar worship?
That's where the concept of duality comes in. Just as the moon reflects the sun's light, it also casts shadows.
Right.
And Blavatsky reminds us that the moon, for all its beauty and allure,
Yeah.
it's not without its darker side too. She associates it with Maya, that veil of illusion that kind of obscures true reality.
So are you saying that ancient lunar worship wasn't all like positive vibes and seeking wisdom? There's more to it?
I think it was probably more nuanced than that. Blavatsky seems to suggest that ancient cultures understood this inherent duality of the moon.
Okay.
They recognized its power to both illuminate and deceive, to inspire both awe and fear.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And it makes me think of the cynocephalus. Remember that, the dog-headed ape that Blavatsky links to both the sun and the moon?
Oh, yeah, That's a striking image.
Yeah, it is. And it really emphasizes this idea of duality, right? What do you make of that symbol, that dog-headed ape connected to both the sun and the moon?
Well, the cynocephalus, it's a really powerful symbol. It embodies this interplay of light and darkness, of instinct and intellect.
Okay.
Like the dog-like head, we often associate that with animalistic urges, right? So maybe that represents the moon's influence on our primal nature, our instincts, but then the ape-like body that suggests higher intelligence. So that might hint at our potential to kind of transcend those base instincts through spiritual evolution.
Right, like we have the potential to rise above those, to use that lunar energy in a more conscious way.
Exactly. And it's worth remembering that even today, a lot of cultures still base their calendars on lunar phases.
Oh, that's true.
And Blavatsky seems to be pointing out that the cyclical nature of the moon, it's a reflection of the cyclical nature of life itself, of death and rebirth, growth and decay.
That's a profound thought. It's like the moon is this constant reminder that everything is in flux. Everything is changing.
Right. There's no escaping those cycles.
And it makes me think about those ancient lunar rituals we were talking about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they were designed to help people align themselves with these cycles? To kind of navigate the ebb and flow of existence?
It's certainly possible. Those rituals could have been a way to honor the moon's power, to seek its guidance and to try to harmonize with its rhythms, to find that balance.
And didn't she also mention the serpent being symbolically connected to the moon? I feel like that's a curious pairing. What's the connection there?
Yeah, she does. Blavatsky intertwines those symbols, the serpent and the moon, and both of them represent this idea of rejuvenation and immortality.
Okay.
So the serpent sheds its skin, right? And the moon goes through its phases. So they both embody this renewal and cyclical transformation. It's really fascinating how she weaves together these seemingly disparate symbols to point to these deeper layers of meaning.
It's like she's revealing this hidden language, like a code to unlock these mysteries of the universe.
That's a great way to put it. It's like deciphering a secret code.
And speaking of mysteries, Blavatsky talks about the moon being connected to our lunar ancestors, these beings called the Pitris.
Right, the Pitris.
What exactly are they? I mean, I've heard the term, but
So the Pitris, in Blavatsky's cosmology, they're these lunar beings.
okay.
And she says they played a key role in humanity's early development. So think of them almost as a blueprint for the human form, kind of a bridge between that purely spiritual realm and the material world that we know.
So in a way, the moon is like a cradle for humanity.
It's a beautiful image, right?
It is. It is. But then Blavatsky also refers in the moon as a dead planet, right?
Yeah, she does.
Which seems a little bit at odds with this whole idea of it being a source of life.
Right, and that's where Blavatsky's esoteric framework comes in.
Okay.
She's not using the term dead in a literal scientific sense. She's suggesting that the moon's life cycle is waning. It's more like a wise elder, maybe. Possessing knowledge and experience, but not in its prime anymore.
So it's not dead, but its energy is different, maybe more subtle or introspective.
Exactly. And this leads us to one of Blavatsky's most intriguing and maybe controversial theories, the idea of the moon as a kind of vampire.
A vampire. Okay, man, that's a twist. I got to hear more about this.
Now, hold on. Before you picture the moon, like with fangs and a cape,
I was kind of hoping for that, honestly.
it's not quite like that. What Blavatsky's getting at is that the moon, in its waning state, it actually draws energy from the earth. She believed this lunar influence could be both, beneficial and detrimental, like a cosmic tug of war between our planet and its satellite.
Okay, so less vampire bat and more like I don't know, cosmic energy drain.
Yeah, precisely. She wasn't talking about a literal like blood-sucking vampire. She was using this really vivid imagery to try to get across this really complex esoteric concept. So she saw the moon as this receiver, absorbing energy from the earth, which she believed was, a younger, more vital celestial body.
Okay, so the Earth is like the young, energetic one, and the moon is kind of
The wise old sage.
the wise old sage, but maybe siphoning off some of that youthful energy.
Exactly.
I kind of like that. I'm wondering if this ties back to what we were talking about earlier with the moon's connection to our subconscious.
It's a great connection to make. Blavatsky believed that the moon, with all its subtle energies, could really stir up our subconscious, our emotions, even our primal instincts, right?
Right.
I mean, think about it. How many cultures associate the moon with, like, madness or werewolves?
Oh, yeah, it's true. It's not all like moonbeams and roses, right?
Definitely not. And it's almost like those stories, they suddenly seem less like just superstition and more like they're reflecting some kind of deeper truth about the moon's influence on us.
Right, right. Didn't Blavatsky also talk about the moon being like a kind of shadow of the Earth?
Yeah, she did. She proposed this idea that the moon is like an astral duplicate of the Earth,
Okay.
a shadow or reflection. And she suggested that everything on Earth, it actually has a corresponding aspect on the moon, but it's just in a more subtle form, more ethereal.
Whoa. So it's like the moon is this like parallel dimension, this mirror world that's reflecting our own.
It's a wild concept, right?
And if it's drawing energy from Earth, does that mean it's also drawing something from us on like a subtle level too, like our thoughts or emotions?
Ooh, that's a really interesting question. And it's definitely one that Blavatsky kind of pushes us to consider because she saw the moon as such a powerful force, a really key player in this grand cosmic drama. And she thought it deserves our attention, our contemplation.
Right. It's not just some passive rock up there.
No, not at all.
It's affecting us. It makes you wonder if all those ancient lunar rituals, maybe they were in part a way to try to manage or harness that influence.
That's a really fascinating possibility. What if the ancients understood this deep connection between the moon and our inner world? Maybe those lunar rituals, maybe they were a way to appease those lunar forces, to seek balance and harmony, or even to tap into some of that subtle lunar power.
Okay, that's starting to make more sense. So this whole concept of lunar worship, it wasn't just about like bowing down to this celestial body, but it was more about recognizing and actually engaging with this powerful force that shapes our world and even our inner selves. But Blavatsky also talked about something called the Lunar Chain, right?
Right, the lunar chain.
And I got to admit that one kind of lost me.
It's one of the more dense parts of Blavatsky's cosmology,
Okay.
but it's definitely fascinating. So just like Earth has its chain of 7 globes, right? And each one represents a different stage of evolution. She says the moon also has its own chain.
Wait, so are you saying there's more than one moon, like a whole bunch of moons we can't see?
In a way, yes. Blavatsky explains that the moon we see, the one up in the sky, it's just the physical manifestation of this larger, more complex lunar entity. So this lunar chain, it's made up of 7 globes, but it exists on a different plane of existence, invisible to our physical senses.
So it's like a shadow chain, right? It's mirroring our own, but existing in a realm that we just can't perceive with our regular senses.
Exactly. And just as our Earth chain is inhabited by all sorts of, life forms, Blavatsky suggests that these lunar globes are also inhabited by beings.
Okay, hold on. So there's like lunar beings.
According to Blavatsky, yes. And it says they're different from anything on Earth. They're adapted to the unique conditions of that lunar chain.
That's mind-blowing. Lunar beings, I can't even like what would they even look like? Did she give any clues?
Well, she didn't really go into specifics about their like appearance or culture, but she did suggest that they're involved in humanity's evolution in some way, maybe as guides or guardians from a higher plane.
It's like a whole hidden dimension just unfolding right in front of us, right? It makes me think of all those stories about UFOs and aliens. What if some of them are actually like visitors from this lunar chain?
It's a thought-provoking idea, and that's what Blavatsky does so well. She challenges us to reconsider our assumptions about reality, and to expand our awareness to include these unseen realms.
Didn't she also link the moon to the lost city of Atlantis? I vaguely remember reading something about that.
Yeah, she did. Blavatsky, she connected the moon and Atlantis in some really extreme ways. She suggested that the moon actually played a role in Atlantis's eventual destruction, maybe through some kind of gravitational influence or a shift in its subtle energies.
So the moon wasn't just like a passive observer in all this. It was like an active force shaping the course of human history.
That's how Blavatsky presented it. She also proposed that some Atlanteans, the ones who survived the cataclysm, they actually migrated to the moon.
Wait, what?
Yeah, she said they might have established a new civilization there, and she even hinted that some of that advanced technology and knowledge that we attribute to Atlantis, it might have actually originated from the lunar chain.
Atlanteans on the moon. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
I know.
But Blavatsky presented it all with such conviction. It's incredible how she brings together history and mythology and esoteric knowledge into this grand, cosmic narrative.
It truly is. And she also connected the moon to the human soul too. One of the most I think intriguing parts of the Secret Doctrine is her discussion of the soul's journey after death.
Oh yeah, that's a topic that's always fascinated me. What did she say about the moon and the soul?
So Blavatsky proposed that the moon acts as a kind of intermediary between the physical and the spiritual realms. So she believed that after death, the human soul actually spends a period of time on the lunar sphere, and it undergoes a process of purification and preparation for its ascent to higher spiritual planes.
So the moon is like a way station for the soul, a place to kind of process experiences and shed earthly attachments before moving on to the next stage.
Exactly. She describes it as a realm where the soul reviews its past life. It sheds those coarser aspects of itself and kind of prepares for its onward journey.
Yeah, it's interesting. So many cultures have myths and beliefs about the moon being like a realm of the dead or a place where souls go after death. Do you think those stories are like echoes of some ancient wisdom about the soul's journey?
It's definitely possible. Maybe those myths aren't just stories. Maybe they're glimpses into a deeper reality that we've kind of forgotten or dismissed in our modern materialistic worldview.
It makes you wonder if there's more to those stories than we realize. And didn't Blavatsky also say something about the moon influencing our dreams? I know a lot of people believe there's a connection between lunar cycles and dreams.
Yes, she definitely linked the moon to the realm of dreams and the subconscious mind. She suggested that the moon's subtle energies, they can actually stimulate psychic activity, making us more receptive to visions and intuitive insights during sleep.
That resonates with me. I've definitely noticed that my dreams are a lot more vivid during certain phases of the moon. Do you think there's any like scientific basis for this connection, or is it more of an esoteric belief?
Well, science hasn't really conclusively proven a link between lunar cycles and dreams, but a lot of people, myself included, we've observed a correlation, and Blavatsky, drawn on all that ancient wisdom and esoteric teachings, she suggested that this connection goes much deeper than we might realize. She believed that the moon's influence, that it could actually be harnessed, that we could learn to work with its energies, to explore our inner landscapes, and even access hidden knowledge within ourselves.
So instead of fearing the moon's influence, we can kind of embrace it as a tool for spiritual growth and self-discovery.
Exactly. It's about shifting our perspective and seeing the moon not just as this object in the sky, but as a source of wisdom and guidance, like a key to unlocking those mysteries of our inner world.
I'm starting to see why Blavatsky's work has been so influential. She takes something that's so familiar to us, the moon, and she reveals all these hidden depths to it. And she challenges us to expand our whole understanding of ourselves and the cosmos.
And ultimately, that's what makes this deep dive into the moon in Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine so rewarding. It's not just about learning facts. It's about cultivating a sense of wonder and curiosity, about recognizing the interconnectedness of all things.
This has been absolutely eye-opening. I feel like I have a whole new appreciation for the moon and all its hidden influences.
It's been a pleasure exploring these lunar mysteries with you, and who knows what other secrets and connections are waiting for this as we keep digging into Blavatsky's work and contemplating that enigmatic lunar sphere, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. Blavatsky brings together science and mythology and spirituality to create this whole rich tapestry of lunar symbolism. But I'm curious, where does modern science kind of fit into all of this? Do scientists today like acknowledge any of these lunar influences that she's talking about?
That's a great question. And, while modern science might not be on board with the idea of lunar deities or astral duplicates and things like that,
Right.
there's no denying that the moon does have a physical influence on our planet.
Yeah.
I mean, we know, it governs the tides. And there's even growing evidence that lunar cycles could affect things like animal behavior and even human sleep patterns, right?
Yeah. So even though like science might not explain everything that Blavatsky was describing, there's at least some overlap, some points of convergence, right?
Absolutely.
It seems like she was tapping into something real, even if her explanations were framed within a different paradigm.
Exactly. And I think it's important to approach Blavatsky's work with a really open mind,
Yeah.
appreciating her insights, but also acknowledging that, scientific understanding was different back then. But what I find so fascinating is that so many of her ideas, they actually resonate with ancient wisdom traditions from all over the world.
That's true. It's like the moon has held this special place in human consciousness for millennia. It makes you wonder if there's something innate in us, some kind of deep-seated connection to this celestial body.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. Perhaps all those ancient lunar rituals, they weren't just superstition. Maybe they were a way to tap into that primal connection, a way to acknowledge the moon's power and maybe even seek its
Maybe
guidance.
we've kind of lost touch with that connection in our modern world, with all the artificial lights and technology and everything. But I wonder if we can rediscover it. If we can learn to see the moon not just as this scientific object, but as a source of wonder and inspiration again.
I believe we can, and I think that's one of the greatest gifts that Blavatsky's work uh, offers us. It encourages us to look beyond the surface, to question our assumptions, and to really reconnect with those mysteries of the cosmos, including those that are embodied in the moon.
This deep dive has been an incredible journey. I feel like I've gained this whole new understanding of the moon, not just as this celestial body, but as a symbol of force and even a reflection of ourselves.
It's been such a pleasure sharing this lunar exploration with you. And remember, the next time you look up at the moon, don't just see this, distant org. See a reflection of ancient wisdom, a source of mystery, and a gateway to your own inner world.
That's beautifully put. This deep dive has been a real treat for the mind and the soul. And I encourage all of you listening to grab a copy of The Secret Doctrine and explore these lunar mysteries for yourselves. You might be surprised by what you uncover.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next episode on While We Were Distracted.